Hello and welcome to Sportuccino. I'm Richard Parr. It is Wednesday, so that can mean only one thing. It is our wrestling show. Every single week we'll be talking about the weird and wonderful world of professional wrestling. You're watching here on Facebook, YouTube, and at sportuccino.com. Thanks to you also if you are listening to this as a podcast on iTunes and on Stitcher. Please give us a rating and review and subscribe to this podcast. On today's program, I speak to the Impact Wrestling star, Rockstar Spud. Yes, he was in the UK visiting while he sorted out all the paperwork as Impact Wrestling heads to India. And it was a really good chat with Spud in central London. An amazing view in the location we were at. And we discussed a whole range of topics with Rockstar Spud, such as him moving from the UK and living in Nashville. We talk about the rise of British wrestling. We also talk about his matches with Kurt Angle, his feuds with Swoggle, and also losing to a one-year-old. That is all on today's Sportuccino. That interview is coming up in just a moment. But first I want to say about 99 Designs. 99 Designs helped design the Sportuccino logo. I think it's pretty cool, right? And if you've got a design that you want made, then you should check out 99 Designs. And they can do anything from logos to websites to posters. I've put a link to them on this Facebook page, on the YouTube page, and in the resources section of sportuccino.com. If you click through that link and use their service, what they'll do is they'll offer what you want to many talented freelancers around the world. And if you are happy with it, then that's amazing. You've got a great design. But if you're not happy, they will give you your money back. It's a product we personally use. If you click through our link, you'll also be helping support Sportuccino. So I really appreciate it if you do that. So go and check out 99 Designs. All right, let's not wait any longer. Let's get to my conversation with Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud, welcome to Sportuccino. Thank you so much for being here. Back in the UK, how good does it feel to be home for a little bit?
It's all right. Get to see mum and dad, obviously. That's nice. Always nice to see family and friends. But the weather's terrible, so that always sways my decision on getting back to Nashville as soon as possible.
What's Nashville like?
Very country music based. Broadway. I remember when we were filming British Boot Camp and I had like the most incredible time on Broadway, which swayed my decision to move there. Now that I've moved there, I never want to go to Broadway because it's full of drunk tourists like I was when I was on British Boot Camp. So, no, Nashville's great. Got a lot of good friends there. It's great. You know, Jeremy Borash is my neighbour now, which is kind of cool. So I'm, just pretty damn nice city to live in.
Are there any American traits you've picked up or anything like that? Any phrases?
Calling the boot the trunk, the mall. I've understood the difference between dating and, you know, like apparently dating is a relationship over there, whereas over here dating is actually when you're taking someone on dates. So yeah, you're just weird. The Americans are bloody weird. They really are.
Yeah, all that third base nonsense.
Yeah, well, not that. It's just we're the ones. When I'm over there, they're correcting me. Like we're the ones butchering the American language. Like what?
Yeah, I would always get a little bit confused with the tenses and say things like trash can.
Yeah, the trash can. Yeah, you put that in the trash. Like I said to my mother the other day, like, I'm just going to get my bag out of the trunk. She's like, what's a trunk? Well, a trunk to me is something on an elephant, you know what I mean? So,
was Nashville always like the easy option because TNA Impact Wrestling was based there, or did you just...
No, I mean, I loved my time there, you know, when we filmed Boot Camp, and it was really cool. Obviously, we were only there a couple of days, but... I moved over to the United States and was in Louisville, Kentucky. And Louisville's all right. It's a good introduction to you know, America, but it was never quite what Nashville was. And like, I'm a city boy. I live in Birmingham. I'm a city boy. So Nashville, when I visited Jeremy on the odd occasion, it was you know, this is a cool city. So just thought, why not instead of, because I was tempted to move to Florida, because at the time I was thinking of moving to Tampa near Magnus, but I decided to move to, he'd obviously, him and Mickey were getting a bit more serious, so they decided to, you know, I think they moved to Virginia at that point, so I decided instead of moving to Florida on my own, I'd move to a place where I actually knew a couple of people, so it's gone from there. I've just, you know, I love it there, you know, it's my second home.
And with all this travelling that you've clearly done as a wrestler, do you have a favourite place you've been to?
I've really enjoyed Japan. Anywhere new, just anywhere I haven't been before is always exciting. Mexico I'd never been before, and that was interesting. We're going to India at the end of this month. It's just anywhere I can. Hey, look, man, I'm in my dream job. I'm traveling the world on someone else's dime. I'm just, just enjoying seeing the world. I would never have seen these places without thinking to myself, 5'4" and just, a little lad who just decided I want to be a wrestler. I'd have never seen these places if I hadn't put a pair of lycra pants on, and I'm not afraid to say it was the best decision of my life.
Amazing. And obviously throughout your career, which is quite a while now, what was it, like 15 years?
15 years, man.
15 years, and you must have wrestled so many different people in your time. Do you categorise them, do you write them down, or does it all become a little bit of a blur after a while?
Some people that do that and keep a log of everything they've done, and more power to them. I wish I'd done it. Like people that take photographs with people they met along the way and just stuff. And I wish I'd have done that, but it was never. It wasn't encouraged when I first got in the job. It was considered very fanboyish, and you're supposed to be a professional, so it was kind of frowned upon somewhat. But the thing is, like, let people do what they want, and the way they go about whether you feel it's right or wrong. I've kind of learned over the years, just let people do what they want, and if they're going to be an idiot, let them be an idiot. If they get, you can try and clue up the good ones, but like if they're not going to, if they're not going to listen, they're not going to listen. But I wish I'd have done the photographs. I wish I'd have done the logging in. And more power to everyone that did it, because sometimes I just don't remember the faces I've bumped into, and it's bad because I'm terrible with names, because you meet so many people, and people can call that ignorance and whatnot. But like it's very difficult when you're in that wrestling company bubble, and like whether it be WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, you meet so many people, and like it means a lot to them that they've met you, but a lot of the times it's like really, it really frustrates me when I don't remember some people, and I feel really rude and impersonable, because I don't mean to be. It's just it's one of the things that happens, sadly.
Yeah, because I think it comes down to respect, doesn't it? Because I've been interviewing wrestlers for over 10 years now, and I remember when I first met wrestlers and football stars, I was like, I'm not going to take a picture. I'm here as a professional. I'm a journalist. I'm going to only ask questions and be on message.
There you go.
And then I look back on it and go like, all these radio DJs have got pictures with these people. They don't even know who they are. It actually matters more to me. And for someone like you, let's say you're in a locker room, I don't know, with Kurt Angle. Like that first time you might be with him, he might be thinking, oh, I don't know who this guy is, but now he'll look back and go, oh, that was a really cool picture when I first met Rockstar Spud, and I guess it's just the way people approach it, isn't it?
I think it's first impressions is always like, you don't want your first impression when you're in a professional locker room to go, can I have a picture of you, please? It's like, oh God, we've signed a fan. I think it's just one of them old school things that used to get frowned upon and stuff like that. I mean, there were people that had been doing the job years before me that said, weren't like this when I first started raking in. And now I feel like a bit of I don't want to be like that, but sometimes you look at it and go, God, it weren't like this when we broke in. The job's got lighter on people as they break in, and I don't think I got some big respect education when I first got to Impact, because it was stuff that we weren't taught, and because there wasn't enough veterans over here to teach it us, so it was just those things, like just being taught those little things, and then you want to instill it on the new lads now, and
Can you tell us a couple of those things?
Just locker room etiquette and stuff, but a lot of it's very Americanised locker room etiquette, because over here it's just, if there's a space in the dressing room, you put it down there. Over there, if there's a space in the dressing room, but it's usually where somebody of senior sits, or it's someone else's regular area that they sit, then they're like, it's just little things like that. And I mean, being comfortable and stuff like that. Where over here, it's encouraged to be, be yourself and stuff, but you gotta earn the ability to be able to be yourself, and it's just stuff I wasn't taught, because I'm just me. I've always just been me, and a lot of people will frown upon that. A lot of people will like me for it, but you can't be liked by everybody. It's just one of the things.
However much you might try.
I don't try. I'm me. I'm polite to people when I say hello to them and everything like that. I've never intentionally be rude to anyone. Just one of them.
So you mentioned British Boot Camp, which you've won, and of course the UK scene right now is as hot as I've known in my lifetime.
Yep.
Certainly. Do you think British Boot Camp played a part in that?
I think it started it. Started the snowball rolling anyway. It revealed everybody to, talents just like Marty, and then, there was a little bit more of a buzz. I mean, I remember after we'd finished boot camp, and I worked, Fight Club Pro in Wolverhampton, place most audience they'd ever had. When me and Marty worked down for Rev Pro, sell out, and that got the ball rolling. That wow, there's some really talented British wrestlers out there. Marty and the girls, they were like, there's people to look out for. A few years later, then they did Series 2, and like that, and then off the back of like British Boot Camp, like the year that I had, like where I was at OVW, and then they brought me on screen as Dixie's assistant, and they saw the way I was rolling on. They were like, all right, this is really cool to see one of our own make it. And it's nice that they've always looked at me as that, because it really is genuinely one of the lads that was on the indies with everybody, and that's why I'm so happy all my friends are looking like they're getting jobs everywhere now. It's just so awesome to see. But then that snowball kept rolling when we had British Boot Camp 2, and they not only opened it to 4 people, they opened it to 16. And just because some of them didn't get employed doesn't mean that, the audience were like, God, that guy was good. And that girl was good, and that guy was good, and that girl was good. Oh my God, they're at my local independent show. So we invested a lot of television time in those guys. That then, off the back of that, a lot of promoters in the UK were very fortunate enough to have some of their talents get that sort of exposure. So then they were able to invest in promoting them. So it was, kind of got the ball rolling. It's not that, I'd like to say it just because I work for the company. Look back in history. That was what got the ball rolling, and I'm proud to say I'm part of the company that did that. And anyone that tries to disregard TNA, Impact, Anthem, or having anything to do with that, look back at the numbers and look from there onwards, because that's when it started rolling. So we have to give our company a lot of credit for that.
And you have been at Impact Wrestling for quite a while now, and you mentioned about there were things that you learnt when you joined which you weren't really sure. Do people now turn to you as a veteran and ask you for advice, and what are some of the things you might suggest to them?
They do. A lot of times, because I care so much about the job, I'll actually just go up to someone that I can admire as watching them. Sometimes I don't even know them, I'll just watch them and I'll be like, I love wrestling. I love watching when somebody's really, really good, and I can give them something to make them even better. But some people don't want that, and that's just different personalities. But you should always be, I was always very thankful if I'm not calling myself a veteran yet, but if somebody who was backstage more senior or a vet would watch my work without me asking and then come and give me something, best feeling ever. You'll notice as well, and Doug Williams always says this, it's like you'll always notice the ones that are very, very good are the ones that always come and ask you for advice, and you haven't got anything to give them, but that's why they're so good. You know what I mean? It's the ones that don't ask you for advice, that wonder why is it not happening for me, why is it not happening for me? Always ask. This job's a blessing, and now you've got so many people that have got so much knowledge now, like just the stuff I learned from Rick Rogers, Danny Davis and Al Snow, just, some of the things over here that are just, just mistakes. Not when a guy's on the canvas, not picking him up off the floor and hang on, you're supposed to try and win, or a bad guy getting cheered and then not understanding why they're getting cheered is because they're, burying all the good guy stuff, doing your 50-50 false finish match. You know that This Is Awesome, Chen. We like both of you, so we're not really getting love and hate here, are we? We're getting, wow, you both are really good. We don't want that. We want that Buzz Sawyer heat. We want that Ric Flair heat. We want we want that bad guy heat. We want that that good guy love. But that these are where the mistakes are, and everyone goes, the business has changed. The wheel's round, guys. And if you want to change that wheel into a square, you're going to get to your destination a lot slower of where you want to be, you know. So it's just little things like that you pick up. And it's not dragging the business down back to the 1980s. This still works. You still tune in to WrestleMania because you want to see somebody win and you want to see someone lose. You're not tuning in for, you know, anything but the spirit of competition, which we all thrive upon as, you know, human beings. It's like a football match. You know, it's just who do you support, you know.
And you think that's what's happening right now with Impact, moving to Spike and everything like that with the changes that Anthem are making, that's what you're moving back towards?
Yeah, I think people misconstrue that, like, it's still calling it TNA. This is a totally different company now. It's Impact, yes, it's Impact Wrestling. This is a totally different management, totally different, you know, way of running the business, totally different shit, totally different company. You know when like a bank merges into another, you know, another name or a business turns into another name. It's just exactly the same process. It's just we are a totally different company now. And when you look at the brand now, it's a totally different brand. And as you can see the changes on the show, you know, every Friday at 9, it's totally different than what you saw a few months ago on a Sunday. So we're just totally different, fresh start. You know, stories are being told. It sometimes takes people a while to get into the stories, but you keep with it. You follow it on.
Part 2 of my conversation with Rockstar Spud is coming up in just a moment, but you may have noticed my Sportuccino t-shirt. It's looking pretty cool, right? Well, you too can get yourself a really cool Sportuccino t-shirt. All you've got to do is go to sportuccino.com/merchandise, as well as t-shirts. We've got hoodies and we've got the famous Sportuccino mug. Why don't you have a little look at what we have at sportuccino.com. Yes, it's all there at sportuccino.com/merchandise. All right, let's return to my conversation with Impact Wrestling star Rockstar Spud.
You've seen lots of new talent come in the last few months. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to work with soon?
I'll work with anybody, whether that be a 1-year-old boy, whether that be a little person, whether that be Lashley, whether that be James Storm, whether that be EC3. You know who I really want to work? Jeff Jarrett. I really would love to have a television program with Jeff Jarrett. It's not because he's the boss, not because of, I love his mind, and we've worked together on independent shows before, and we've gone 30 minutes, nearly 45 minutes together, and I just love working with someone that's got his, you know, body of work, and just I think there's just a wonderful. You give him a mic and give me a mic. I think that'd be gold. I'd love to work with EC3 again, because that's all the both of us ever get asked. When you're gonna get back together? When you're gonna wrestle again? When you're gonna people? You know, there's not a lot of stuff that people invested in, but like stuff like the Wolves they invested in. Lashley they always invested in. Stuff like myself and EC3 they invested in those, in the years when we came in. These were the things that fans still cared about with regards to our company. And hey, if we're making Impact great, then why not bring back the stuff that's great? But yeah, Jeff's definitely someone I'd love to work a program with, not just have a match with. I mean, like, give him a microphone, give me a microphone, let me get heat on him, let him get some, just anything like that. I'd just love to. I think it'd be brilliant TV.
And it all comes back to that learning as well. That you've done it 15 years, he's done it 30 years probably.
Yeah.
And yet you're wanting to work with him because you can still learn more from him.
Yeah.
You are very good on the mic. You're very comfortable on the mic. Who did you learn the most of to improve that for yourself throughout your career?
Looking in the mirror. just looking in a mirror, just sitting in my car on my own and looking in my rearview mirror, talking to myself, doing the weirdest stuff you'd ever imagine just to myself. See, people use social media all the time now to promote their stuff, and if you look back into about 2011, 2012, you know, the first person in Britain that picked up a camera and was doing all the YouTube stuff, that was me. And people don't remember that as much, like, because they're like, oh, it's done all the time. But the first person to do it was me. And, you know, I ain't shy to put myself over here, but I got people interested in me versus Marty Skull. And, you know, the British Boot Camp thing just landed in our lap, but we were rocking and rolling, man. It was, Marty was a great, you know, good guy to me, being a real foil. But it was just constantly working on, you know, looking at the greats, how they talked, when they raised their voice, why they emphasised certain words, getting their point across, looking into their eyes. Just looking into someone's eyes, you can tell whether they believe what they're saying or not. And when I watch wrestling television these days, a lot of the times I'm like, you don't believe a word you're saying. You really don't. But you get that odd, good promo man that no matter what he's given, he can make you believe that this came from his brain and he's just spilling it off.
Is that because so much is given to people and it's not more collaborative, or is it just people just don't have those skills?
It's because you got to believe. Everyone is portraying a character on a wrestling television show, but you gotta believe, man. You know, like, you gotta be Heath Ledger. He believed he was the Joker. You gotta believe that you're Batman. You gotta believe that you're Superman. That's what makes a great movie. That's what makes a great actor. You gotta believe. You telling me you didn't believe Hulk Hogan training prayers, vitamins? You believed every word he said, and you
just didn't get the arms.
Warrior? No, I didn't get the arms. I think I got about 20 centimetre pythons, but the Warrior, what was he saying? But he believed every word he was saying, and that's why people were paying to see this attraction, because my God, what the hell is he? I don't know, here's my money. You know, just, if you can believe in what you're saying, and Tommy Dreamer was so good at making people, like, look into his eyes and make them believe. If you can believe, make the audience believe, then they'll come and see you. And I always, like, when I'm cutting promos or anything, I always look through the lens, because I want everybody at home to look into my eyes and know I believe every word I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Now, you're someone who's clearly adaptable in any role given to you, but are you someone who, like, sets goals for yourself? Are you someone who's like, this is what I want to achieve? Yeah. And what is your next target?
I want to be world champion, and, you know, here's what I want. I want to be world champion in Impact Wrestling. It's attainable, and I know it's attainable. I'm going to be the top of the industry, and that's how I live my life every day. This is what I want to be. This is how I see myself, whether that's because I work differently to other people. And see, what I see now in the industry, everyone's doing a lot of the same, and every match is very much the same. So I'm doing me, but I'm doing the total opposite of what they're doing that makes it stand out a bit more. If I'm seeing the great, you know, for example, I'm on a Progress Wrestling show, and there's these matches and they're doing this British strong style stuff and blah blah blah. I'm going to go in there and give you a good guy versus a bad guy, and it's going to stand out. You know the reason it's going to stand out? Because everybody else is doing that. And you might go, oh well, it stands out. You remember it, and you remember it because it's different. And you have to be different. No matter what people are doing, try and do something different. There's no point going out there and being a knockoff version of someone that's already on the card, you know, or someone that's already over in the business. You have to be different. And if what's old is new, bring it back. No problem with it, you know.
And I think that's what's really good about you, is you kind of give yourself a slightly new, fresh look each time. A little bit what Chris Jericho said before about almost being like a Madonna type character. Yeah. Have you got anything like up your sleeves which might be coming in the next few years of look? Here's
the deal. I can do whatever you want. I pride myself in being able to do whatever you want. Hey, we want you to lose to a 1-year-old boy. Do whatever you want. And I'll make it work.
People remember that.
And they'll remember it, and I'll make it work. We want you to pull a little person's pants down, and then he's going to beat you to death with a hammer. I'm going to make that work. We want you to go in there with Kurt Angle and work for the world title. I'm going to make that work. We want you to have a hair versus hair match. You ever heard of a hair versus hair match, like, that people actually gave a shit about? Really? Exactly. But we made it work. You've got to make everything. If they're just giving you a little bit and you've got to make that explode. They're giving you a lighter. You've got to make it a stick of dynamite, and then bang. You know what I mean? It's got to. I am a stick of dynamite. I'm a little firecracker. But if you like me, man, I'm going to make the biggest explosion on the whole card. And that's what you have to do as a performer. You've got to be able to adapt. You never know what situation you're going to be when you turn up to work. But you've got to be able to make it work. And if you can't make it work, then you're going to be replaced, and someone else is going to come in because you're just expendable. You're either helping the thing that people are paying to see, or you are the thing that people are paying to see. If you are neither of those, we'll get another one, and you're expendable. And you'll have a run, or a light jog in some people's cases. You'll have a run, and then you'll go away.
Well, I can't wait to see what you've got up your sleeves when we continue with Impact Wrestling. Just remind us how we can continue to find it in the UK now.
You can see us every Friday night at 9 p.m. on Spike UK. Happy to say, great partners with them. And it's only a 24-hour delay now. So if you can, for the love of God, stay off social media for 24 hours, you might enjoy the show, spoiler free, because we air on Pop the night before, and then the Friday at 9 in the UK, you got us on Spike. We're on My5 as well, repeated. And we've also got the Total Access app as well, where you can see, obviously that's going to be a week later when the show airs, but you've got all the back catalogue of Impact Wrestling, the TNA years, the Asylum years, all the back catalogue, all the pay-per-views on there. So there are ways, and we couldn't be happier to be with Spike UK at 9 o'clock every week, because the UK is one of our, it's one of our prized possessions. It's my prized possession anyway, because I see myself as a born and bred British guy, which I am, and this country made me, and the fans of this country made me. So to perform on television in front of them, to perform live in front of them, it makes my life. It's such a blessing to come from such a great country, and the boom period we're having now in Britain is fantastic. And my hat's off to everybody that's coming out to the shows, supporting the guys, because without you guys, this is the reason everybody's getting a job now. And it's so awesome to see friends succeeding when they should have succeeded many years ago.
Yeah, well, you are one of the UK's prized possessions. Thank you so much for being on Sportuccino, Rockstar.
Thank you very much, mate.
Really great to talk to Rockstar Spud from Impact Wrestling this week on our Sportuccino Wrestling show. Last week we spoke to Al Snow. He's a producer at Impact, also a former hardcore champion, WWE star, ECW star, also now a QPW World Tag Team Champion. We learned a lot from Al. Go back and listen to it. It's of course at Sportuccino.com. Every Wednesday we are talking about wrestling. It'll be on the air at 3 p.m. British Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific on Facebook, YouTube, and Sportuccino.com. And of course, it also goes on our podcast stream. It is on iTunes and on Stitcher. Give us a rating and review, please. A little plug there. But until then, I've been Richard Parr. You've been watching Sportuccino. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye for now.